Hey guys, and welcome back to BigBallerLifestyle.com. In this video, I want to talk about goals, how to set the goals, and how to stick with the goals. Now, you may say that sounds easy. I'll set a goal. I'll set a certain amount of money that I'd like to attract, right? We don't say make, we say attract. I like to set $50,000 a month. Now, once you set that goal, you write it down. We set certain goals on paper, we can set it on the computer, we can set it on the phone, whatever the case is. That's the goal you stick with, 50,000 a month. Now, what'll happen is if that's a number that's higher than you're used to, you'll start to have reservations, you'll start to have doubts, and that's okay. It's okay to have the doubts. You stick to that goal. If after you're doing this for a couple of months, and you're just starting a business or whatever the case is, and maybe things are not happening as fast as you like them to happen, the worst thing you can do is say, you know what, I don't have to do 50,000 a month. If I can just do 10,000 a month, I'll be just fine. And then things start to pick up and you say, hey, maybe I can do 50,000 a month a year from now, whatever the case is. But then let's say it fluctuates, it goes up and down. And then you're at the point where, you know what, if I could just do an extra 3,000 a month from this business, I'll be fine. That's the opposite way you should be going about it. You stick to the goal. And again, just like we talked about self-talk, just like we talked about self-coaching, you let yourself know that this is the goal. If it's less than that, that's fine. But you're going to continue to visualize and feel 50,000 a month. So you don't change the goal, you don't shorten the goal, you don't sell yourself short. You continue with the 50,000 a month. Now, it can be gradual. Maybe something can happen where it just becomes 50,000 a month, and that's fine. But it'll probably happen gradually, right? The universe takes the path of least resistance. So it'll probably happen gradually, and then you'll probably be at 10,000 a month for a while. But you keep the end result in your mind. That's your job. Your job is to keep the end result. You set a goal that you think you're worth, right? And this is not to down anybody. If your worth is 50,000 a month, that's what you set. If your worth in your head is 5,000 a month, then that's the goal you set. But you don't set a goal for 5,000 a month and say, hey, if I could just make an extra 500 a month, I'm fine. You don't change it. You set a goal that's realistic for you, that you believe you can accomplish. Now, if you work a job and you can only make so much a month at that job, then it's not realistic to say, I'm going to make X amount a month if you don't plan on doing anything else. But if you're an entrepreneur, or even if you have a job and you're starting something on the side, you set the goal. You set that goal. And once you change your personality, which we talked about in another video, once you change your personality, then your personal reality will change. So you just think of how you have to be or how you would be if you were attracting 50,000 a month. If you were attracting 50,000 a month, you wouldn't have the same habits and the same routines that's producing this current reality. So how would that person be different? How would the person who's attracting 50,000 a month, if that's your goal, how would they be different? What would they do differently when they wake up? What would they do differently before bed? What would they do differently during the day? How would they talk to people differently? Would they hold eye contact longer? Would they hold eye contact shorter? However that person would be, the personality that that person has, you start to assume that persona. Once you start to assume that persona, then your personal reality begins to reflect that personal reality. And that goal will manifest. It's the law. It's the law. It's not the hope for. It's not the probably. It's the law. The law says how you think, how you act, and how you feel creates your personal reality. That's the law. So if the personal reality has this in it, and this is what they do, and if you assume that frequency, because remember, it's about frequency. If you're on this radio station, you're going to get this music. You change the frequency to that radio station, you get that type of music. So if you're on the frequency of soft jazz, but you want to be on the frequency of rock and roll, you have to change it to that frequency, and then all rock and roll songs come in. You have to understand that. It doesn't matter what you do. If you are on the frequency of hip hop, you will not get the frequency of soft jazz. You will not get the frequency of opera music. Whatever you decide you want, you have to get to that frequency. And you get to that frequency by creating the personality that is on that frequency. So if $50,000 a month is your goal, you simply assume the personality that creates the reality on that frequency. So you have to have a conversation with your future self or your parallel self who's on that reality. Now, understand this. Your subconscious mind will not steer you wrong. You ask your subconscious mind, because you and that other personality share that same mind. You say, listen, because remember, all possibilities exist right now. This is going into quantum physics. And if you're new and you don't understand that, no problem. Just I'm giving you some highlights here. Quantum physics says that you can exist in more than one state at the same time. So according to quantum physicists and quantum theorists, there's multiple versions of you that exist right now. So if you're sitting in your room in California, you can't see New York, but New York exists. Even though in your personal reality, you're not experiencing it. It does not mean it is not there. In fact, you probably can't see down the block from where you are, but it exists. It's just that you're limited to your viewpoint and you're limited to what you can see because of where you are. If you go somewhere else, you'll see something else. It's the same principle. The version of you that is attracting $50,000 a month right now, if that's your goal, is already there. So all you have to do is sit down, calm yourself, meditate, and really tap into your subconscious mind. And you ask your subconscious mind to bring forth the vision of you who is already attracting what you want. That version of you exists. And you sit down in your mind and you ask that version of you, what do they do on a daily basis? And you will get the right answer because it's the right answer for you. You tapping into your subconscious powers right now. You ask the version of you, what do they do on a daily basis? What do they do when they wake up in the morning? What do they do before they go to bed? How do they interact with people? How do they interact with their spouse or their boyfriend or girlfriend? How do they interact with their parents? How do they interact with friends? How do they interact with people on the job? How do they interact with investors? And you'll get the real sense of how they act. So if they have a special morning routine, and if that person, that version of you says, listen, I wake up at 6 o'clock on the dot. And when I get out of bed, the first thing I do before I even sit up is I give thanks. I go through my list of things to be grateful for before I ever stand up. It could be something as simple as that. And then you say, okay, cool. This is what they do. And then you start to do that. And when you start to do that, guess what? You are now on the frequency of the $50,000 a month version of you because you are doing the things that they do. And that's how you get on their frequency. You figure out what the version of you that already has the life that you want, you figure out the things that they do, and then you start to do that. When you start to do that, you are now on that frequency because you've changed habits and behaviors. You've changed a personality, and your personality creates your personal reality. All right, guys, I'm out as always. Make sure you check out the rest of the videos. And if you're not on BigBallerLifestyle.com, make sure you go there and we will manifest money, health, happiness, and love together.